I think he's the reason that these products are going to be so great, and there's more coming in the future. So I really just want to thank him and thank his lovely wife for being here today and for being a part of this company. And we got to realize how lucky we are to have him. Yes. Okay. So with that, I'm gonna pass the microphone over to Greg Barber and get this.
So, Dr. Rouse, something that you said in Scottsdale stayed with me. I remembered one of your stories, and I'm not going to ruin it for you today because I'm sure you're probably going to say something similar. So I'm going to let you explain the significance of this. But I'd like you to have this baseball card of Goose Goslin.
Oh my goodness. That I will have to tell y'all about later, but that Goose Goslin really means a lot to me because he shows you that you just can't quit. You got to keep on going till you win the World Series. Oh my goodness. Look at this. All right. Man, I am a blessed man. Wow. A Goose Goslin baseball card. All right. Dr. Rouse is in the house. The Modexus house. And it's good to be with the family. If most of you probably already know, I'm one of those pharmacists. You know, pharmacists, they deal in prescription medication. Now, if you came to my house and I was going to entertain you and cook for you, Janice would right off the bat say, "Oh, you don't want to do that." Because first I make a mess, and two, I can't cook. But let's say that I've got the pots and pans boiling over there, and I've got the sink cleaning up, I've got the stopper in the sink, and I've filled it up with the soap suds. And you know how you can get so busy with what you're doing, the next thing I know, I'm looking over there and the sink is overflowing, the water is overflowing. Soap suds are coming on down. Quick, where's the mop? And I start mopping up my mess, and then I look over there at the stove and all the pots are boiling over. Quick, where's the lids? And I put the lids on the pots. And you say, well, man, that hasn't solved your problem. You're still mopping. What have I got to do? Somebody's got to turn the water off at the spigot. And with the hot water boiling over in the pots, it doesn't need more lids. Somebody's got to use some common sense and turn the heat down. But in pharmaceutical medicine, not one prescription drug, every single one of them, and there's billions of dollars being in the industry, every single prescription drug that's ever been created is only created and designed to treat a symptom, and they're nothing more than mops for the floor and lids for the pots. Somebody's got to get to the root cause. Somebody's got to turn down the heat on the stove. Somebody's got to turn off the water at the spigot. So along comes natural medicine. And the whole deal is to do no harm. You can't say that about our pharmaceutical industry. Do no harm. And in the world of natural medicine, the whole premise behind everything that we do with the molecules that we have is to fix the root cause. So it's all about turning off the water, putting the stove at a lower temperature. Now, isn't that common sense? But the more people I meet out there in the world, most of them don't have any common sense. So we just need to teach somebody. In order for me to teach you the basics of Lonicera, that's the berry that we are so blessed for the Canadian farm up there in British Columbia to say that we are the distributors. And to get that berry, is really neat. So here is a cross section of the berry. See, it's real simple. And over here is a cross section of the human. That's you. So there's my picture of you, and there's my picture of, see, I'm not even an artist. I can't cook and I can't draw. But the neat thing about it is that this berry is an extraordinary, I like what Rick said a moment ago, elite. It is a unique, elite berry. Now, when you start looking at this berry, we're interested in what's inside the berry. What are the molecules that make everything come together? Now, as Andrew was saying a moment ago about his Maui, Hawaii fiasco and all the troubles to get going, you know, sometimes you just have to work through all your problems. But I got good news for you. Over here on this side of the human body, you have been fearfully and wonderfully made. And the same thing about this berry, this is no accident that this berry matches this body. And inside it, we start looking at all these molecules. I've already heard that big word, C3G. Cyanidine 3-glucoside. In the cyanidine molecule, the major part of that, sometimes we used to call it a PCO, or an OPC, or an SOD. I mean, you heard all these people say, well, I need this superoxide dismutase. Well, you got it. Or I need my OPC. Well, you got it. And when it comes to the C3G, we're at the max. We've got the premium supreme aspect of that berry. Now, what got me excited as a pharmacologist who studies organic chemistry, who's into all of this stuff. See, you go along, and some of you have been in different network marketing companies, and they said, well, what is a redox? That's got to do with antioxidants, that kind of stuff. What is a NR2F? It's in all of our products. It doesn't matter whether they're looking at whatever they've already talking about. We've done advanced them. We went beyond. We've got all this antioxidant, super antioxidant. We got all the molecules that we need to make this system happen over here. So over here, we start looking at the human body. And this is a cross-section of your cell. And inside your body, you have trillions of cells. I mean, just in the brain alone, in the eye, in the heart, in the lungs, all these different cells, trillions. Now, trillions is a bunch, because we started counting. If I decided to count 1, 2, 3, 4, by the time I get to 1 million, I'd have to be counting for 12 days. If I kept on going to 1 billion, I'd have to count for 32 years. But if I wanted to finally count to 1 trillion, I'd have to count nonstop for 32,000 years. So, you know, you got a bunch of you, fearfully, wonderfully made in the human body. The mechanisms, everything that is so unique is found in the proteins, in the building blocks in the structure. So today we're looking at the cell structures. There's trillions of the cell structure. A moment ago, Sean Smith mentioned he started talking about diabetes, and then in his testimony, he used the word hemoglobin. What's a hemoglobin? Well, that's a red blood cell. A red blood cell. And in your red blood cells, you've got, probably 20 trillion of those. And what's your immune system made out of? White blood cells. And in your white blood cells, you probably got like 20 billion of those. So we're really made 2020. We are 2020 put together. Now, the unique thing about a red blood cell is that it gets to live in the blood, viable, alive, for 120 days. That's a long time. That's 4 months. One red blood cell will live for 4 months. Now, it is protein. And whenever you eat that Oreo or that Milky Way or that Snicker bar, that's sugar. And if that sugar molecule gets stuck to that protein, it gets glycated, it gets sticky. And that sugar molecule will stay on that red blood cell for 120 days. So when you go to the doctor and they say, we're going to do a physical, they draw your blood, they're looking for your red blood cells. They tell the computer, let's find your oldest red blood cell, the one that's about to die. And when they look at that little red blood cell, if it's still got that Oreo cookie stuck to it, they know that you didn't metabolize sugar properly. In the medical world, they just put a fancy name to it, so they call that an A1C. And normally you need a number of 6 or below. If you're diabetic, your number's 7 or higher. But the whole deal is we're looking at the red blood cell to see how about your sugar level. Now the neat thing about it is C3G takes care of all of that. C3G helps clean up a lot of stuff. The main thing about C3G is that in the world of cellular technology, C3G in that molecule of that berry helps your body to do 2 things with sugar. It helps your body to produce better insulin, and it helps your body to utilize insulin better. That's a good thing, because whenever the insulin is not utilized properly, the cell structure becomes syndrome X. Inside the cell is discombobulated. Syndrome X is that your body is simply not utilizing insulin properly. It's insulin resistance. Body doesn't know how. You may be producing with your pancreas plenty of insulin, but your body's not utilizing insulin. Whenever syndrome X comes into being because of insulin resistance, the body starts to accumulate fat, mainly in a fat cell. See, we got trillions of cells, and the more fat cells we accumulate, the sicker the body becomes. And that could be called triglyceride, that could be called cholesterol, that could just be called white adipose tissue. And then what happens after the fat gets stuck in the cell, the sugar gets high. And so when somebody goes and has a blood glucose monitoring and they prick their finger, their blood sugar will be above 99. It'll be 100 or higher. Sometimes in the case of diabetes, can get over 400 or 500. Sugar goes up. Over here, after these 2 rise, it will cause the blood pressure to rise, because atherosclerosis now squeezes the blood vessels You got about 70,000 miles of blood vessels. And all of this is related to these cells. When the blood pressure goes up, next thing you know, they start putting on abdominal obesity. They start putting on a lot of weight around the belt area. So there's a syndrome X, metabolic syndrome. Now, there was this young lady, 40 years of age, had 3 kids. Last child was born when she was about 35. She didn't go to the doctor for the last 5 years. So she avoided going to the doctor after the last baby was born. About age 40, she decides, I better go get a physical. I haven't seen a doctor in 5 years. I've gained 30 or 40 pounds and feeling tired and sluggish and not sleeping as good. Must be hormonal. She goes to the doctor. He draws her blood, and her cholesterol is way high. And her blood pressure is over the normal. And she's put on 20 or 30 pounds. And when they drew her A1C, it was 7.2, and her fasting blood sugar in the office that day was like 110. So the doctor says, gonna have to give you a metformin for your diabetes. Well, I'm a diabetic, yes. Gotta give you a lisinopril for your blood pressure. Because your blood pressure's out of whack. And I gotta give you a statin drug for your cholesterol. So, did we meet any of the criteria of the root cause? But we just gave that lady 3 prescription drugs. And the problem was, she said, man, I'm 40 years of age and I gotta take all them drugs. You got all those medical problems. Well, what if that lady could be helped with the root cause? Because in metabolic syndrome, there's only one reason that person has all 4 factors, and that's insulin resistance. So the number 1 nutrition on the world market for dealing with insulin resistance is a molecule called C3G. Where am I going to find that? And all of a sudden, when people start getting C3G in their body produces better insulin, and an insulin that's not resistant. And now we're seeing structurally blood sugar, blood pressure, blood cholesterol, and all of a sudden weight loss. All of that's in one berry. Why not? That's the way it was designed, with all of the antioxidant qualities. Inside every cell. I got it? Still going? Dead batteries, what it says there, Randy. Good morning. Over here on this side of the cell structure, the unique thing about a cell, how many of them are? Trillions. They all have to be fed. Inside every cell is like a city all by itself. It has a communication system. In one cell, more complex than all of the cell phone structures on planet Earth. One cell. Now it talks, these cells talk, cell to cell. That's what redox is about. Cell to cell communication. That berry speaks every language that the human body knows. That berry knows how to speak. It can speak brain, it can speak lung, it can speak macular, it can speak whatever you're into. So we have a communication system. That cell is also very unique and dynamic in that it has a manufacturing system. what happens is in each of these cell structures, there are multitudes of factories, energy factories. They call it the mitochondria. And there are many, 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 many mitochondria factories in every cell. This berry builds more factories. So the more factories you have, the younger, the more vibrant, the better your vitality. That's the reason it's a longevity nutrition, because we're building factories. Also in this cell, in the manufacturing, is we have to have a garbage disposal. Because every time you build something up, you got to get rid of something that's going out. And this cell structure, this protein around this cell, is dependent upon enzymes and molecular chemistry that come from that fruit to build this structure. So the enemy can't come in, but yet uniquely the garbage has to go out. And every time you can detox, get rid of pesticide, herbicide, prescription medication, metabolites, anything that's ingested that comes down needs to go. For a lot of people in the world of chemistry, and you know, sometimes chemistry is so simple we make it so hard. Na, that's sodium, right? Cl, that's chloride. What is that? Table salt. Can't eat grits without it. Sodium chloride. Unique. This molecule here, the chloride molecule, body hates it. It's detrimental. It's chemically altering. It's not good for your kidneys, not good for your blood. Chloride can become very dangerous. Now, a lot of people in natural medicine build products and sweeten them with a chloride molecule. They call it sucralose, Splenda. So if you don't learn anything else today, learn to never put sucralose in your human body. Don't sweeten your tea or your coffee or your beverages with Splenda. It's a chloride molecule. The body does not need it. It is not natural. And if a company puts it in their products, they're not concerned about your health. All they're looking for is your money. And the truth is that whenever you build a product, there's a lot of things that don't need to go in the product. It took a long time to build our first two products just to keep the junk out, because there's so much flow. In the world of hydrogen, two hydrogens, one oxygen, dihydrogen monoxide, water. Hydrogen is very explosive. They make bombs out of it. Oxygen is extremely dangerous. If you mix them together, you would think you would blow up the room, and yet it'll quench your thirst anytime. And without that hydrogen molecule right there, we're in trouble. So this berry improves that red blood cell. Now, what we called it a moment ago, hemoglobin. As soon as Sean said that, my mind went off just like, see, I wasn't even thinking about hemoglobin. But let's say in a hemoglobin molecule, one red blood cell, in one red blood cell, you got 9,000 atoms in that one red blood cell. In that one red blood cell, with 9,000 atoms, is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur. Now here's the fearfully and wonderfully made unique part of that. Every red blood cell in this room has the exact number. Got to have 9,000. And out of those atoms, we got the exact number of carbons, and the exact number of hydrogen, and the exact number of oxygen, and the exact number of, and the least amount, in that order, the least amount of molecules, atoms, are sulfur. It can't be rearranged any other way. The body won't function normally without it. And yet God fearfully and wonderfully made you so that every molecule matches that setting. And over here, when you start dealing with C3G, you are making your hemoglobin rich, red, oxygenated. The key to this over here is to keep this sticky blood from aggregating. When blood starts sticking together, the body becomes atherosclerotic. It gets hard. Your blood pressure goes up. The body gets sick. The problem with stroke and heart attacks are all there. The key to keeping that body clean is with a super antioxidant. And so with the manufacturing, the communication, and the garbage disposal system, the neat thing about it is that that's the molecule that keeps these cells very happy. Inside this cell, beside the mitochondria, is a banded group of amino acids. They call it DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. Every cell has that structure. Each DNA molecule is about 7 feet long. And it takes 1 trillion DNA molecules lying side by side to make 1 inch. And yet you've got trillions of 7-foot pieces of molecular protein, amino acids inside every cell, compacted. You've got enough DNA physically to go right here from Dallas, Texas to the moon and back at least 10,000 times. And yet, all of your DNA is compacted in that tiny spot. And in that DNA is everything that cell is going to ever say. It's a redox system. That berry makes that system work to peak performance. So our 40-year-old girl, she's so disappointed. She left the office with a blood pressure, a cholesterol, and a diabetic pill. She said, Dr. Charlie, what's going to happen? I said, well, you change your lifestyle. You learn that you have to eat different, you have to exercise better, you have to drink water more proficiently, and whatever you do, don't put no sucralose in there, or the worst of that, aspartame. Get away from the blue and the pink, and get away from the yellow. Just forget all of that. That's bad chemistry. And I said, then when you start dealing with insulin resistance, you're home free. And sure enough, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, right there, red blood cells were all gone. Brand new blood cells were starting. Goes back to the doctor. She said, Doctor, would you mind testing my blood? Blood pressure was down. Done lost 10 or 15 pounds. Blood sugar was down. Blood cholesterol was down. And the doctor said, you're perfect. Stay on your meds. She laughed, she smiled and left. So you never know, do you? But the body is very dependent. So I'm a fanatic. I am very much into natural medicine. I have helped a lot of people get sick with pharmaceutical prescription, left the industry just to get into the wholesomeness of it. And then when we start putting things together, we say, well, you know, we can't just put things together. That's the Lonicera Berry. You look at that longevity bottle, and there's a lot more in that product than Lonicera Berry. I mean, so out of all the energy cycle of this mitochondria, it requires minerals, 72 specific, nano-sized, unique, small molecules of minerals. And you can go over here to a vitamin shop and you can buy magnesium and potassium and calcium and iron and all those minerals, but those are rocks. And sometimes we can hide them inside an amino acid to make it a little bit more absorbable. But the unique thing was that we could find that mineral where the plant has already taken the mineral out of the soil and digested it and broken it down into nano-sized technology and not scrimped on any of the molecules, and all the minerals were in that one plant, we'd be home free. And you know what? Centramin, Sentramin, is a unique nutritional that has got the plant found it buried in the organic volcanic ash, the plant still in its unique pristine form that it was 2,000 years ago. So it's like picking up a plant with all the soil minerals that planet Earth had over 2,000 years ago, and there it is. And you know what they did? They sold it to us, and we put it in our product. And you look on that label, that's not just a mineral complex. That's Centramin. That's a unique mineral. And so then along we come and we say, well, let's open this cell up and what is the one molecule that the good Lord allows to go into every cell? And there's only one molecule that can go into every cell, and that's called glutathione. See, that's the only molecule that gets to go into every cell. And what it does when it goes into the cell, it cleans out all the garbage. So when it has this barrier, the only molecule that can cross every barrier, including the blood-brain barrier, is glutathione. Now, glutathione is simply 3 amino acids, just like this DNA is, just linked peptides. In the DNA of the power behind the glutathione molecule is made up of glycine, glutamine, and cysteine. And so it was, we said, oh, if we only have those 3 molecules, link them together, put it down the goozle into the system, we'll get there. Problem was cysteine, singular sulfur molecule, sulfur minor, it just kept breaking down and the body couldn't absorb it. Over in Spain, they learned how to take the cysteine molecule and double bind the sulfur, so you got 2 sulfurs. Call it cysteine. And guess what? We searched the world. We found the cysteine molecule. We brought it to our lab. We mixed it with the glycine, the glutamine, put it together, and now we have the functional sulfur molecule that the body can absorb and assimilate and build true glutathione. And we put it at a very, 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 very high therapeutic level. Most people with glutathione are 250 milligrams or lower. We're at least 4 times stronger than anything on the market. Amazing glutathione. Then comes research. Then we find out that all these people with metabolic syndrome, well, we're studying metabolic syndrome. Why? Because of insulin resistance. So they got all the cardiovascular problems. They got all the brain issues. They got all the degeneration. These folks are degenerating at a very fast pace. They're the ones who die early. And we looked at them and we found out that the glutathione levels were low. we try to pump them up by giving them the 3 molecules that would build their glutathione levels up. But because of some abnormality in cell structure, their glutathione just wasn't quite getting the pump to make that mitochondria produce the energy of life for them. And so we found in research that what they needed was a catalyst, something that could produce those 3 amino acids, building their glutathione to perfection. In Japan, they had already crossed this scientific barrier, and they had produced from vegetables fermentation a perfect glutathione molecule. It was nano-sized, matches the human body. It was pre-structured and already built. I said, oh, would that work? Because if you swallow it, hydrochloric acid breaks it down and tears up the molecule. They perfected it. They call it Setria, S-E-T-R-I-A. It is the perfect catalytic molecule for building glutathione. So now we found that people with metabolic issues, people who have high blood pressure, diabetes, who have autoimmune diseases. See, those people, even when we gave them the best of the glutathione, they still weren't coming up like they needed to. So Dr. Charlie says to our staff, why don't we become the first of the world market, where we put in all the building blocks, would give us the catalyst. And Setria agreed to sell us the product. We put it in the product, and now we're first in the world market to be the true glutathione producer. So now the sales can do that. And we've only been doing it, anecdotally, we've only seen you guys use it for just a short period of time. Well, you're not going to believe the testimonies that are just piling in day to day. I mean, we just heard a testimony a while ago about a doctor telling a patient they got a 4-month-long journey with some kind of unknown virus, and 3 days later into some kind of glutathione treatment, they're already showing recovery. Got to be a good thing. So in that product is not the glutathione molecule alone. It's got the catalytic converter. It's got the Setria. It's got the multitudes, the plethora of the minerals. Now believe me, when you're building a formula, you can put all you want of this, that, or the other, but if it ain't in the right match, at the right milligram or microgram, in the right quantity, in the right proportion, in the right exact way, you ain't got diddly squat. And that's where people that are scientific, organic, study natural medicine, that's where it pays to get all these atoms lined up correctly. And so then we looked, we said, okay, over here, this little garbage disposal system needs some help. Now in your body, you got a organ that reproduces itself called the liver. But if that liver gets inflamed, hepatitis of the liver, your enzymes go up. And when they go up, everything stops in the garbage disposal system. So that could happen numerous ways. But also in your liver, there's a protein molecule called albumin. Albumin. And that's like itty bitty, teeny weeny, little bitty livers. And now your body's producing trillions of little livers, pushing it out into the blood. So when you have your albumin level, and everybody has it when you do your blood test, you want your albumin to be at 5. Anybody with an albumin level of 5 never, ever gets cancer. It's a proven fact. So when the albumin level goes to 5, your cancer is preventative. And some people have a very deficient albumin level because it's all attached to the liver system. So what's controlling the liver? Glutathione, majorly glutathione. Then the liver needs help. And so we searched the world market. We said, okay, there's a thistle out there. They call it milk thistle. But not all milk thistle is the same. We wanted one molecule we were looking for called silymarin. Silymarin had to be in the milk thistle, in the right proportion, at the right milligrams. And sure enough, when we got over here into the trademark industry, there was one company who did all the research for us, spent millions of dollars on research. And they said, yes, you can buy our milk thistle, Silphos. So we bought it. So we bought Citria. So we bought Citramin. Now let me tell you, I've worked with numerous opportunities of formulating for companies. But every one of them prior to this would say, Dr. Charlie, you may want that in your product, but it's not going in our product because theirs cheaper. And so when Andrew asked me to formulate, I gave him the product list, and he said, check, 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 check. I said, can you believe that? I said, I'm in. I'm in. Because he did what needed to be done. He did not scrimp on me. And so there we were. And that's just Lonicera longevity. Then Andrew said, we need an energy pill. All of his buddies are on monsters at 5 hours. And said, well, you know, the energy's unique in that all these brain cells, and there's trillions of them, they got synaptic dendrites, little connectors. You got so many brain cells with about 1,000 connectors to every little cell. You got more wires in your computer, in your head, than there are all the wires on all the computers on planet Earth, and it's in your head. You say, well, some of mine get tangled up. The energy of that brain cell is in that redox, that communication system. So over here in research, we see that the NFL is very, very, very disappointed in all these concussions. They've spent millions of dollars on research, and they found that people who have had brain injuries, have hit the windshield of a car, or hit the helmet of a linebacker, they got brain problems. And they found there was one molecule that was regenerating broken down, torn up brain tissue, alpha GPC. And I knew it was a good one, but I sent word back to headquarters, alpha GPC is really good, but it's very, very expensive. And if we mix it right, we could make the best brain nutrition on planet Earth. Word comes back. Let's keep it going. So alpha GPC at the right milligram becomes a unique milligram for the Lonicera leaf. It's a nutrition because 40% of your human body energy is burned up and used by your brain before your heart or anything else gets the energy. Brain's got to go first. And so we needed to feed the brain, didn't we? And we gave it the best molecule that research has, the alpha GPC. And when we put it in there, we recognized that, wow, we got something here. And so from there we built the lift. Then we came along and said, everybody wants that quick energy. See, I'm the first person to ever get to lecture to an audience who just swallowed a perfect nutrition that's going to keep you physically concentrated, mentally alert. Every student a better student in the room, so it's amazing already. My wife took hers early this morning. She said, I don't need another one. I only took one and feel perfectly great, smart, sharp, ready to go. So here we are. All of you are loaded. And in that was a lot of alpha GPC. But we also put something in there that's unique to the world market. Teacrin. Teacrin. Another expensive molecule. Teacrin has two things that I know about it. There ain't nothing more bitter on planet Earth. Hardest thing in the world to mask the taste of. And it is unique in that it gives you motivation. That is a motivation molecule. That will make people who don't want to finally understand they need to do it. And they'll want to do it. So if somebody needs a little kick in the rear, at least give them a lift every day so they can be motivated. Teacrin is in our product primarily because it works on the brain structure and it sustains the anhydrous methylxanthine, or what you call caffeine. We do not have artificial caffeine in our product. Most everybody else does. All of the beverages out there on the market are artificial. This is a methylxanthine that comes from a robust, red, beautiful coffee bean, like an Arabica bean. Today they might call it Costa Rica bean, whatever they have. Anyhow, that red molecule, that red bean, supplies methylxanthine like caffeine, and it brings up the energy levels. But we didn't want it to go down in 3 hours. We wanted to sustain the day. And in order to do that, we put teacrin in the molecule, and it holds it up. And teacrin, being part of the tea family, takes away all the anxiety, all the jitters, all the, sometimes when people take too much caffeine, they have an overdose. This takes that away. So now we got people in this room, I already know, I've seen you swallow, lift, scoopful, 3 and 4 times a day. And I said, well, you ain't gonna do that with any uppity drink, because you'd be so nervous and wired. But yet they remain, blood pressure remains, pulse remains, cardiovascular system remains. So there you go. The key to it is that now you see that you're not dealing with just any products, you're dealing first to the world market. But you're not dealing with just good, clean, wholesome nutrition. You're dealing with better than the best. And because and you know, it's not by accident. Our steps are ordered. I mean, this whole deal has come together through a lot of orchestration. And the God who made that berry and the God who fearfully made us is definitely working through a lot of different ways. And now you have the responsibility. There is no way that any one person could even begin to touch the world. But if we could get our 20,000 in 2020 and go beyond, imagine what the next year's going to do when those 20,000 have already finally found out what a C3G is all about. Yes. Anyhow, that's what Dr. Rouse is up to. And what we're going to do is give you a pledge that when it comes to the market, we cleaned out all the junk. We just need you to make sure everybody can do no harm and go for it. All right? Love y'all.